High homocysteine can be a marker of a vitamin deficiency. It's been linked to many health problems, including heart disease, dementia, and Alzheimer's. However, studies have shown that lowering homocysteine with vitamin supplements doesn't necessarily produce the desired health benefits and may even be harmful. Homocysteine is a sulfur-containing amino acid that the body produces from other amino acids called methionine. Food that's high in methionine includes meat, egg whites, and seafood. Homocysteine is usually found in small amounts in your body. That's because your body converts it efficiently into other products with the aid of B vitamins. Higher homocysteine levels can indicate a deficiency of these vitamins. Apart from vitamin deficiency, higher homocysteine levels have been linked to heart disease, cognitive dysfunction, and dementia. Homocysteine gets converted into less toxic and more useful amino acids via two biochemical pathways, remethylation and transsulfuration. Remethylation, a metal group from 5-MTHF, a breakdown product of dietary folate or betaine, is added to homocysteine to convert it back into methionine. Vitamin B12 is needed in this process, as are the enzymes methionine synthase, MTHFR. Transsulfuration. Homocysteine is converted to cystathionine by cystathionine beta synthase. Vitamin B6 is needed for this conversion. Cystathionine can then be converted into cysteine and subsequently glutathione, the body's most powerful antioxidant. When homocysteine cannot be converted to other compounds, it builds up in the body and it may cause damage. B vitamins play a very important role in this balance. A doctor may order a homocysteine test to find out if there's vitamin B12, folate, or B6 deficiency. They can check for heart disease in people who are high at risk, help diagnose homocysteinuria, a rare genetic disorder. You should note that a B12 blood test may fail to find a deficiency, as food is now fortified with folate, and this can throw off the reading of the blood test. Homocysteine is not a commonly used test. It's relatively expensive and rarely covered by insurance. Ranges and results may slightly vary from lab to lab due to differences in equipment, techniques, and the chemicals used. A high-protein meal can significantly increase homocysteine levels. Therefore, fasting throughout the night before a blood test is recommended to ensure the most accurate results. The normal range for homocysteine is usually below 15 micromoles per litre. Elevation in homocysteine can be moderate, 15 to 30 micromoles per litre, intermediate at 30 to 100, or severe, greater than 100 micromoles per litre. A result that's higher than normal doesn't necessarily mean that you have a medical condition. Your doctor will interpret a high homocysteine result together with your medical history, signs, symptoms, and other test results. Homocysteine levels increase if there's a vitamin B12 deficiency, a vitamin B6 deficiency, or a folate vitamin B9 deficiency. Several studies looked at people with different dietary patterns, and they found that people who were on a vegetarian or a vegan diet had significantly higher homocysteine levels, likely due to low vitamin B12. Studies suggest that both smoking and exposure to secondhand smoke can increase homocysteine levels. Daily alcohol consumption can increase homocysteine levels, likely by lowering vitamin B12 and folate levels. Several studies suggest that stress may increase homocysteine levels. Several drugs can increase homocysteine levels, including methotrexate, an immunosuppressant, metformin, used in diabetes, cholestyramine, used to lower cholesterol, and antiepileptic drugs. Kidneys help to transform homocysteine into other amino acids. Therefore, a decrease in kidney function can cause an accumulation of homocysteine. This explains why those with kidney disease have high homocysteine levels. Several studies have found higher homocysteine levels in hypothyroidism. A meta-analysis of 17 studies found that hypothyroid people not treated with levothyroxine, synthetic T4, had increased homocysteine levels associated with the severity of the hypothyroidism. Further, levothyroxine treatment was effective in reducing the homocysteine levels. Chronic periodontitis, inflammation of the teeth and gums, has been linked to elevated homocysteine levels in studies. This elevated homocysteine level returns to normal after the periodontal disease is treated. Homocysteine levels increase in a rare inherited condition called homocysteinuria. If severely elevated homocysteine levels are found, your doctor will usually do more testing to rule out or to confirm a diagnosis. Other than homocysteinuria, slight elevations in homocysteine can be caused by relatively common mutations in the MTHFR gene. Every individual has two MTHFR alleles, one from each parent. A mutation in just one MTHFR allele is referred to as a heterozygous mutation, or both is called a homozygous. Approximately 10% of people of European descent have two mutations in the gene, the homozygous form. Two of the most common MTHFR mutations or polymorphisms found in humans are the MTHFR C677T. This mutation, the A allele, is associated with reduced enzyme activity, elevated total homocysteine level, and altered distribution of folate. People with one A allele for this mutation have a 35% lower enzyme activity, and people with the AA genotype have a 68% lower enzyme activity. There's also the MTHFR A1298C, and this mutation also impacts the MTHFR activity and the homocysteine levels, but to a lesser extent than the C677T variation. In a study of 872 people, those who were homozygous for the MTHFR mutation, the MTHFR 677TT genotype, were 10 times more likely to have high homocysteine levels when compared to those with normal MTHFR. Other genes that can impact the homocysteine levels are genes that encode methionine synthase. Elevated homocysteine levels have been linked to a number of diseases. However, if you have high homocysteine levels, it doesn't mean that you have any of the following diseases. The high homocysteine levels can be encountered in sleep apnea, autism, and gut disorders. It's important to correct your homocysteine levels if possible. High homocysteine increases the risk of heart disease, hardening of the arteries, cognitive decline and dementia, Alzheimer's, osteoporosis and bone fractures, and all-cause mortality. High homocysteine or hyperhomocysteinemia has been suggested as a potential risk factor for heart disease since the early 90s. Studies have shown that higher fasting blood homocysteine levels are linked to a higher risk of heart disease and stroke. However, the exact role that homocysteine plays in heart disease has not yet been confirmed. Some scientists suggest that higher levels of homocysteine contribute to the narrowing and the hardening of the arteries, or atherosclerosis as it's known. On the other hand, a large study of over 115,000 people suggests that lifelong moderate homocysteine elevation based on genetics had little or no effect on heart disease, and it calls previous published studies into question. In addition, there's some controversy when it comes to lowering homocysteine levels using supplements. Large-scale studies have shown that using combined vitamin B supplements to lower homocysteine was ineffective in preventing heart disease and even harmful in some cases. A meta-analysis of 15 studies with over 71,000 people has found that homocysteine-lowering interventions in the form of supplements with vitamin B6, B9 and B12, given alone or in combination, had no effect on preventing heart attack or all-cause mortality when compared to placebo, although there was a very small benefit when it came to preventing a stroke. Therefore, homocysteine may not actually be a risk factor, but a risk marker for heart disease. Harmful when elevated due to other factors that increase heart disease risk, such as diet rich in red meat and low in fruit and vegetables, or smoking. Because of the discrepancies listed above, the American Heart Association doesn't consider homocysteine a major factor for heart disease. That's also why routine testing is not recommended. Homocysteine may cause an inflammatory response in vascular smooth muscle cells by stimulating CRP production. However, this is based on animal research and it has yet to be confirmed in humans. CRP, or C-reactive protein, is a well-known marker of chronic inflammation that can increase the hardening of arteries and heart disease risks. A study found that people with insulin resistance tend to have higher homocysteine, likely due to the effects that insulin exerts on homocysteine metabolism and kidney clearance. A study with 924 men found that those in the upper third of homocysteine levels were more than twice as likely to be depressed than those in the lowest third. A second study found that individuals with the highest homocysteine levels, greater than 12 micromoles per litre, tended to have lower levels of SAMe, a nutrient that's vital for the production of neurotransmitters associated with mood enhancement. In a study in 236 hospitalized, acutely ill older patients, supplementing with B2, B6, B12, and folic acid decreased the homocysteine levels and it reduced depressive symptoms. A systematic review and a meta-analysis of 111 articles found an association between cognitive decline and increased plasma homocysteine levels. However, treatment with vitamin supplements failed to prevent the cognitive decline. Similarly, a meta-analysis of 10 studies with 1.9 thousand people with cognitive impairment and 21 studies with over 15,000 people without cognitive impairment found that higher homocysteine was associated with an increased risk of cognitive impairment and dementia, but there was no obvious cognitive benefit from lowering homocysteine when using B vitamins. In a study of 1.9 thousand people with dementia, higher homocysteine levels was associated with an increased risk of developing dementia and Alzheimer's disease over the following 8 years. Homocysteine level above 14 micromoles per litre was associated with nearly twice as high an Alzheimer's disease risk. Cell and animal models suggest that homocysteine may be able to trigger neuronal damage through oxidative stress, DNA damage, and activation of pro-apoptotic or pro-cell death factors in cells and animal models. Homocysteine levels can be higher in some autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis patients, lupus patients, and psoriasis patients. The homocysteine levels are only elevated in some cases of multiple sclerosis, but not in others. Higher homocysteine has been associated with a higher risk of osteoporosis. However, treating high homocysteine with vitamin B supplements is unlikely to help here. A study in over 75,000 women found the vitamin B6 and B12 supplements alone or combined increased the risk of hip fractures by up to 50%. While we still don't completely understand the causes of migraines, some clinicians speculate that homocysteine may cause migraines by inflaming the blood vessels and contributing to the blood clotting cascade, or thrombosis. The concentration of homocysteine in cerebrospinal fluid that bathes the brain is increased in migraine patients. People who have mutations in genes that are involved in homocysteine metabolism, such as the MTHFR mutation, are more likely to get a migraine. B vitamin supplements decreased the severity and the frequency of migraine attacks in some studies. Although much rarer and generally less of an issue than high levels, low homocysteine levels may also cause problems. For example, adequate homocysteine levels are necessary for the production of factors important for detoxification, like glutathione production, such as cysteine, taurine, and sulfate. Thus, low homocysteine levels can restrict detoxification pathways that respond to oxidative stress. Low homocysteine has been associated with nerve damage of an unknown cause, idiopathic peripheral neuropathy. The most important thing is to work out with your doctor to find out what's causing your high homocysteine levels and to treat any underlying conditions. The best way to prevent homocysteine from increasing is to ensure that your diet contains adequate amounts of folate, vitamin B9, vitamin B12, and vitamin B6. Folate is abundant in fresh fruit and vegetable, while vitamin B12 is found in animal products, including meat, fish, cheese, and milk. The richest source of vitamin B6 includes fish, beef liver, potatoes, and other starchy veg and fruit, other than citrus. Studies suggest that simply supplementing with these vitamins to lower homocysteine levels doesn't prevent diseases and disorders that are associated with high homocysteine, such as heart disease, impaired cognitive function, dementia, and osteoporosis. In fact, taking combined vitamin B supplements may even be harmful. In other words, homocysteine is likely a marker of a healthy diet and lifestyle, and not a target to address on its own. So it's important to check your vitamin levels and correct any deficiencies, but ultimately it's best to prevent these deficiencies by having a healthy, balanced diet. However, in some cases, vitamin deficiencies can have non-dietary causes, such as bleeding or gut issues like malabsorption, in which case they can't be corrected by simple dietary adjustments alone. You should work with a doctor to address any underlying issues. And if you need to take supplements, it's best if you can take active forms of vitamins, such as methylcobalamin, form of B12, or 5-MTHF. Although exercise increases homocysteine short term, in the long term it's associated with lower homocysteine levels. A systematic review of 34 studies found that regular exercise may be able to decrease homocysteine levels. A study in Parkinson's disease patients found that those who regularly engage in exercise had lower homocysteine levels. Although the link between stress and homocysteine is not quite clear, several studies have found that stress can increase homocysteine levels. Therefore, finding ways to avoid or cope with stress can be beneficial to decrease homocysteine, but also to improve health in general. A study has shown that yoga may help to reduce elevated homocysteine levels. Both smoking and exposure to secondhand smoke can increase homocysteine levels. If smoking, quitting may help to decrease the homocysteine levels. Daily alcohol increases homocysteine levels, so avoid heavy drinking. The following supplements have been found to decrease homocysteine in small-scale clinical trials. Omega-3, N-acetylcysteine, the probiotic L-plantarum, beta-carotene, and betaine.